The day I realized my mother chose money over me, something inside me didn't just break, it disappeared completely, because betrayal from a stranger hurts, but betrayal from your own family changes the way you see everything. My name is Daniel Carter, I'm 25 years old, and for most of my life I believed that no matter what happened, I would always have a home, and that belief didn't come from hope, it came from my father, a hardworking man who built our house with his own hands. Every wall, every corner carried his effort, his time, and his love. And before he passed away when I was just 17, he sat me down in a quiet hospital room and told me that the house would be mine one day. He said no matter how hard life gets, you will always have somewhere to go, and I held on to those words like they were unbreakable, because when your father is dying, his promises feel like truth, not just words. But after he died, everything slowly changed. The house became quieter, heavier, like something inside it had stopped breathing, and within 2 years, my mother remarried a man named Mark, and he had a son my age named Ryan, and from the very beginning, we were completely different. He was loud, arrogant, always acting like life owed him something, while I stayed quiet, trying to adjust to a reality that never really felt like mine. I tried to be respectful for my mother's sake, but I was never part of their world, and slowly, I became invisible in my own home, until one day I left, not because I wanted to, but because I had to, believing that no matter what happened, the house would still be there waiting for me, like my father promised. The next 6 years were hard. I built my life from nothing, working jobs I didn't love, studying late at night, surviving more than living, but through it all I held on to one thing, that house. It wasn't just a place, it was my last connection to my father, to my past, to who I was, and when I turned 25, I decided to go back, thinking maybe things had settled, maybe I could reconnect with what once felt like home. But the moment I walked in, I felt it, something was wrong. The air felt unfamiliar, like the house didn't recognize me anymore, and when I looked at my room, it was gone, not physically but emotionally. The walls were different, the furniture was different, my belongings were gone. It looked like I had been erased, like I never existed there at all, and that's when something inside me shifted. I went to my mother, confused, and asked her what happened, and she casually told me that Ryan was moving in, and they had decided to sell the house to him so it would stay in the family, and in that moment, everything inside me froze, because I couldn't understand how she could say those words so easily. Sell the house, my father's house.
The one he built, the one he promised me, and when I asked her how she could do that, she calmly said Ryan is more responsible, he can take care of it better, and when I reminded her about my father's promise, she dismissed it like it meant nothing, saying it wasn't legal, it was just words, and hearing that felt like losing my father all over again. Because she reduced his final promise to something meaningless, I tried to explain. I reminded her of the memories, of what it meant to me, of how it was supposed to be my safety, but she had already made her decision, and there was no space left for me in it. She even told me I should be grateful that the house was staying with someone who loved the family, and those words cut deeper than anything else, because in that moment I realized I was no longer included in that idea of family. So I asked her quietly, what about me? And she had no answer, just silence, and that silence told me everything I needed to know, that I no longer belonged. There, that night I didn't scream, I didn't fight, because there was nothing left to fight for. I packed my bag and walked out of the house my father built, without looking back, because I knew if I did, I wouldn't have the strength to leave. The next few months were some of the hardest of my life, not just financially but emotionally, because I wasn't just dealing with the loss of a house, I was dealing with the loss of trust, the loss of belonging, and the loss of the belief that family will always stand by you. I had to rebuild myself from nothing again, focusing on work, stability, and learning to depend only on myself. And just when I started to move forward, I found out that Ryan had sold the house for double the price. And in that moment everything became clear. He never cared about the house or my father's effort or the memories attached to it. It was all just an opportunity for profit. And my mother chose him over me to give him that opportunity. A few days later she called me, saying she missed me and wanted to talk, like nothing had happened, like she hadn't taken away the only thing my father left for me. And as I listened, I realized something strange. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel sadness. I felt nothing. And that emptiness was the final proof that something inside me had ended permanently. So I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I simply hung up, because sometimes closure doesn't come from words or apologies. It comes from accepting the truth and walking away. And in the end I understood something. My father gave me a home, but losing it taught me something far more important: how to build a life that no one can take away from me.